Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along. Which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/zip. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/zip. That's ZipRecruiter.com/zip. ZipRecruiter.com/zip.
Hey guys, welcome to Lovely J Podcast. It's almost midnight and I'm trying to get up out of the loop. What do I mean get up out of the loop? At midnight, for some reason, I start thinking about my ex and I go into this deep cry and this weeping, and I'm hoping I can train my brain to get up out of that. And it's been like that ever since he passed. Around midnight, it starts, and I don't want to be like that. I'm sleepy too. So what can I talk about? Let's talk about how you know that you really love and care for somebody with the love of God versus a worldly street love. Once I learned what the definition of love was with God, it opened my eyes to something totally different. It was a love that I could understand, a love that I could work with. And you know what I like about God's love, that agape love, is that no matter what we do, He still loves us. And that's how, we are supposed to treat people who do us wrong, our enemies, our frenemies, our families who dysfunctional and don't want to accept us. That's how we're supposed to do. I'm going to find that scripture for you too. Because I know with me and my ex, Rollo, with him, he always had a special place in my heart. He still does. I mean, I told you he's the peace. He's a peace in there. He's a piece of my life, so he's a piece in my heart. Now, I always did like and love him, but he won't always trustworthy. And some of the things he would do, I was just looking at one of the pictures, and that's one thing why I said I'm getting on here and talk, because I don't want to stay in the loop, keep looping around pictures and all that. But I was looking at one of the pictures, and it reminded me that, oh, hold up. I'm sorry about that, y'all. I be getting sleepy when I start talking. I don't know what happens there. But when I was looking at the pictures, it reminded me of the times when he would have money and things, and instead of him, helping out, or I was the breadwinner in the relationship, okay? But instead of him helping me out, whenever he did get money or, buy groceries and things, he would take his money. It was almost like somebody had just told him, if you spend money on her, this gonna happen, that gonna happen. That's the way it felt. It felt like maybe he was up under possibility, some type of witchcraft. Whatever it was that he was up under, it would not allow him to pour into me financially. Now, he poured every other way, every other which way, but financially wise, it didn't allow him to pour into me financially. And I always wondered about that. And sometimes I would get upset about it. Well, throughout the relationship, I got upset about it because, once you carry everything on your own, it feels heavy already. And any woman who's ever been in that position where she felt like she was taking care of a man, you know exactly what I'm talking about. That's not a good feeling, because in our hearts, we know that the roles have flipped on us. But still, because we have that love, and, back then I told you I was battling with low self-esteem. And, I'm very much independent. Being independent can be a downfall. You need to be independent whenever you really need to be independent, and not independent when you are in a relationship, and that will kind of push the other person to do more than what you're doing. And I never really pushed them in the financial area. I never really pushed them. And then when I did push, I would feel so bad about it, because I was so used to being independent. But it was times where he would get his money. And he would plot about how he was going to leave from home and go spend it up. And, sometimes the money would already be spun out. Moral of the story, he already owed all the money out. I would get mad about it. I mean, I'd be really mad. Sometimes we'll fuss and fight about that money. I look back now, and I watched this thing on smoking cigarettes, and how they said, you're sitting here and you're making these companies all this money, but what is that cigarette doing to your body? And that's the way, it feels like about some of these, with the dealers, these dealers get all this money, but in the long run, we end up with health conditions that cost more than what we were smoking. We were trying to pleasure ourselves and ended up making ourselves sick instead. Him and I was sick for years. I'm still fighting with consequences of doing drugs and smoking cigarettes. But the thing I was getting at was, I would be so mad when I realized what he was doing with his money. And one day he had this friend, right? Him and his friend were working at the same place. And they get paid on Fridays. I mean, they were making good money. They were working in Cadillac converters. So y'all know that's good money right there, them Cadillac converters. They were working in that. And so Monday through Thursday, Mr. Wilson was good. Rollo was good. He'd go to work, prepare his lunch and everything. Even prepare his friends some lunch. Off my money, of course. Whenever they first started working, I was like, okay, well, he gonna do right. I've always gave him the benefit of the doubt that he was gonna do right, even when I knew in my heart that it was a possibility he was gonna do wrong. They went down there and they worked good. And every afternoon they come off work, they be smiling, and Rollo be writing stuff down. Rollo had a brain on him. He had a brain for numbers. He be sitting there figuring stuff out. I could tell when he go to thinking on some stuff. He get a certain look in his face. And I know what that means. That means I got to pay him extra attention because he finna do something. He had that look in his face the whole week. They kept figuring up how much money they were going to make and all that thing. I think I saw on that thing $989. That's how much he had made. That was for 1 week. I was like, we finna go out to eat. He didn't plan going out to eat, help pay the bills and things. And so Friday came payday. And so at the time, my sister was going with his friend that they both worked together. So my sister was going with the friend. And so my sister called a friend and said, when y'all come back? And he said, I'm coming by and I'm going to bring you some money. That's what he told my sister. He coming back by and he going to drop her off some money. So when he comes by, I'm like, so where's Rollo? And he said, girl, Rollo got that check at 12 o'clock. I can laugh now, but it was not funny back then. He said, girl, Rollo got that check at 12 o'clock and got off work. And I forgot who he said came and got him. He said somebody came and got him, but he got off work and he was gone. He was already on the creek is what we called it, where his mom and them live. That's where he go do his little stuff at on the creek. So he already gone down there. I'm like, what? So I'm calling his mama house. You know, back then we didn't have the cell phones now. We had to call around on people's house phones. I'm calling his grandma's house. I'm calling his sister's house. I'm calling his mama house, and he finally answers the phone at his mama house. Hello? And I'm like, Rollo, what you doing? I had to get off work, man. I had to come down here and take care of some business. I'll be home in a little bit. I'll be there in a little bit. And then he was like, well, I ain't forgot. I ain't done nothing wrong. I'll be home. I said, okay then. I'll be waiting on you. So come 7 o'clock. This joker still ain't got up here. And I'm getting pissed off because I have an anger attitude back then.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along. Which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/zip. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/zip. That's ZipRecruiter.com/zip. ZipRecruiter.com/zip.
I don't call again looking for him because I know his mama be resting because she was a school teacher. So I wouldn't bother her. And I wanted to ride down there. I think I did ride down there looking for him. And he took off running. My son reminded me of how fast he could run. When Rollo was in his good health, y'all, dude could run. He could run. I mean, he fly fast. He could run. And I said, why is he running from me? I said, oh my God, he out there doing stuff. He ran for me, and I rode up and down the road looking stupid for about 2 hours. And then finally I said, you know what, I'm just going to go home. I'm not even going to worry about it. I'm going to go home. So I came on back home, and, you know, I waited and waited on Rollo to come. Rollo didn't never come in, but he came in that Sunday. So he was gone Friday and Saturday. He came in that Sunday. And he act like he had all the money in the world. Don't y'all laugh at this now. Don't you laugh. He came in with, you know, he had this stack of money. And it looked like it ought to be the $989. Oh my God. Dude came in and all he had was about $45 in ones. It might have been 50. In ones. He passing. He like, what y'all want? Y'all want to go get something? $45 in ones. If I would have said I wanted a lot of something, he'd be like, ho, nah, I ain't got it like that now, ho. And I'm like, I was so mad, y'all. I was so mad about that. Come in and $45 in ones from $989. In 2 days, he spent all that money up on what he wanted to do with the friends he wanted to be with. Possible ladies too, you know. You know how it is, because when you smoke, them ladies have a way. They don't care you in no relationship. They have a way of getting that money out of you. I know. I didn't never do that, but I know the ones that he was around. I know they were them smokers. They were them show enough kind that would do anything for the money. And we got in a fuss that night. I got so angry with him because at this time I'm pregnant too. Yeah, I'm pregnant. I got so angry and I had to think about the baby. I just had to, for once, I walked off and I had to go lay down. My head would hurt so bad after that. I didn't even want to talk to him. And I didn't fuss about it like that. So the next week came and I said, okay, this time I'm going to go on down there. And I called myself going to be slick. And he called himself going to try to do right. He said, okay, you can pick me up then. You can come pick me up. I'll be ready. I get my check at 12 and I'll be ready. You know what? So I'm thinking I'm going to go down, pick him up and get his check at 12. You know what? He got his check. He gave some kind of lie about what he needed his money and need to get off soon. He got that check at 9 o'clock that morning. And I was down there at 12 sitting in the parking lot, and the friend comes out that was talking to my sister and said, oh, he been gone. He left from here about 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock this morning. And by this time he got his car back working. He didn't have his car back working. No, he didn't. He left at 9 o'clock in the morning. Somebody came and picked him up though. I forgot who they said it was, but they picked him up. He went to work that morning, got that check, got back off, and he spent all that money up again. Y'all, that is the life of, addiction, that your priorities, you could be the smartest smoker out there, but your priorities is never going to be right. That addiction is gonna come first. That it could be food, cigarettes, porn, sex, whatever the addiction is, it's gonna come first. And with him, it came first throughout the majority of our relationship. But I knew in my heart that eventually God would, I knew the addiction. I was there myself, so I knew how hard it was. But I also knew that I would keep things in my home, food and, the basics for life. I knew I was going to have all of that stuff. But I knew that he was pretty bad. I didn't know how low he could go until I got to know him further and further. And, if I feel led to share stories, I will. But let me tell you about how God works. And I could cry at this part because after all I went through with him, oh God, it must be midnight. Yeah. Whew. Come on, girl, we're not going to cry. After all I went through financially with him, and because I really did have a heart for him and his wellness. I mean, I really did. And I want to tell you other good women out there, don't keep trying to keep count of everything you do for somebody. If you're doing it from the heart, let it be just that. If they waste your time and you've done it from the heart, what you're going to get in return from God is so much greater. Man, you might not see it right then and there. Just like I didn't see it right then and there, as much as I poured into him, I didn't see it right then and there. But you know what? I look now and people are pouring into me. They are pouring into me now. 10 years later, after the breakup, people are pouring into me. And I truly believe that's because I had a heart for him for real. And I won't just doing things, just to try to put the man down. That was never my intentions, to try to put him down. Because the one song that stayed in my head all the time about him is Harry Hippie. Never knock a man, it's how I say it. It's something about I like to help a man when he's down. It's something like that. Anyway, it says, the song basically talks about, you know who this man is. You know how this man is. You with him. You know how he is. So why you want to put him down? And if you can't do anything from your heart with joy, and this is before I get into church now, before I get before I have a good relationship with God, my heart was already like that, to help people. Nobody never came here and left without love, food, fun. If they didn't have family, I became their family. And that was straight stuff from the heart. I never resented it, never talked bad about it, because I knew in my heart how short time is. You know how I know? Let me tell you, I'm going to go all the way back here. I knew because I had an aunt. I had an aunt come up here every weekend for years. For about 8 years, she came here every weekend, Fridays and Saturdays. Me and her would sit and drink beer and listen to music and eat good food. And no matter how much I gave her, sometimes some of the ones she be with was still, they take some things from it. But it was all right, though, because I was doing it from the heart. So I've always been that type of hospitality person. And I just always gave like that. And I never had a problem with it. I know people would try to convince me to have a problem with it, but it was never a problem for me. Now, sometimes I did go overboard and let people use me, but for the most part, you couldn't get me to do what I didn't want to do. That was something I wanted to do. So when you see me giving to him, helping him, I wanted to do that. Nobody forced me to do that. At the end of the day, it won't no fuss and fight with me and him about what I was doing for him and what he was doing for me. Our fusses and fights didn't come off the drugs until he started getting his money. But our fusses and fights was coming off of he said, she said stuff. That's why we were fussing and fighting so much. But, my heart was just do it with joy. Whatever you do it with joy. I think my mama used to quote that scripture all the time, and it just rubbed into me. So anytime I did something, if I had a cookout, I did it with joy. If I'm using the bathroom, I'm doing it with joy. And that's how it was. Let me find y'all the scripture, Corinthians. I need this scripture because we got to be reminded. We got to be reminded of what love is, so that you don't get it wrong. If you should get in a relationship with an addict or a person who's chronic illness, have chronic sickness, chronic pain like me, I sense and I think, who can love me like this? Who can love me? And I can only hope that the next man who comes in my life will love me from a Corinthians 13 point of view. And I can say, I do believe Rollo did, because Rollo, he was, he had some characteristics that were really good, because he knew I was sick. And then, he knew I suffered from chronic pain because he had got into my paperwork. I thought I was hiding it, but he read all my paperwork. So he knew what I was capable of doing and what I wasn't capable of doing. But that money thing, yeah, it did hurt my feelings. I was hurt a many days about money whenever he take his money and go spend somewhere else. That would hurt all the time. I don't know nobody who wouldn't feel some type of way about that. But again, that's what I chose to be in at that time. And you know what? That's what I was used to. I was used to that. I saw my mama do it. My mama Gloria did my daddy Joe like that. That's how they were. It was my norm. See, that was my normal. The flip role was my normal. I saw my mama, my biological mama, Gloria, always taking care of my biological daddy, Joe. I never really seen him bring much to the table. I didn't see him bring much to the table until he got up in his older years. But before then, he was in his upper 40s when I started seeing him bring stuff to the table. Because before then, she was having to get everything on credit. She was going out here, using her name to get things, asking people for things. I never seen him hustle hard like that. I seen him work and pay off liquor debts or beer debts or maybe some canteen debts, as they used to call it. But I never seen him just be like, here, Glory, go get your hair done, or here, go buy the kids something. That wasn't a never for us. We didn't, and that's why my mindset was shaped. Even though, now listen, I was adopted by my grandparents, which is my biological mom, Gloria's mama and daddy. Now, I saw Daddy as a provider. Daddy provided. Daddy didn't play. Daddy got out there. He worked this whole field that I'm living on right now. He worked all of these acres. All these acres that I'm on right now, he worked all these acres planting and selling crop. And plus, and I'm talking about this like 13 acres he cropped up. And had everything planted up. Had cows. He had a whole farm. Pigs. Raised chickens for Purdue. A lot of chickens too. Y'all, it was over 200 some chickens here. Every day. And their biddies. Their biddies were here too. But he hustled. He was a provider. And he was a person with affection. He didn't neglect my mama in no area. He didn't neglect her in no area. He provided for her. And he had a job. He had a full-time job where he was a supervisor at a place called Spring Mills in Bisco, North Carolina. When you get time, look it up. That place was around here a long time before they moved it to another area. But he was a supervisor there for years. So I saw both ways. I saw where the man was the provider, and I also saw where the man was not the provider. And the side that I fell more on was the side that, even though Daddy and Mama raised me, my Mama Gloria traits was in me. It was in me. And every child want to be like their parent. Whether it's right or wrong. And that fell in me. And I always wanted to be like her, She made life look like it was fun, but that junk was struggling. She made it look like it was fun, running in and out, asking people for money, and then everything she gets, she would take and go give to him. And I'm not speaking down on my biological dad. I'm just being truthful about the experience we had, so that when you listen to this podcast, you will see where I'm coming from, why it didn't bother me to take care of a man, because I never saw my mom do it, the biological mom. And the biological mom trumps the adopted mom. I'm not kidding. Like I was with my adopted parents longer than I was my biological parents, but because they were biological, their traits were stronger on me than the grandparents. And that's why it didn't bother me. And I'm not the only one that do that. I can guarantee you that there's a lot of my family members that do the same thing, and we don't even realize, they don't even realize, and I didn't realize that it was really a trauma response. That's why we couldn't let the man take care of us. It was a trauma response. We saw them fuss and argue too much, and we always saw Mama Gloria as the one who stepped up to the plate. Well, I gotta get this, I gotta get that. But when she got, it was never for us kids. It was for him. Now, me, I stepped up to the plate and I got, but I made sure my kids were taken care of first before I was taken care of or him. He would sometimes be the last one to get taken care of, but he makes sure, he that's why he kept doing everything, because if you do all the cooking, you're going to eat regardless. Right? Okay then. So that's how it was. And that's why it didn't bother me, and I always did it with joy. And even though sometimes I get mad, I didn't stay angry at him long. That's another thing people didn't get about me. And that's another thing too, I think, honestly, I got from my mom and dad. Not my adopted mom and dad. Okay, so when I say mom and dad, I'm talking about my adopted parents, which is my grandparents. And when I say Gloria and Joe, I'm talking about my biological parents. But they never stay mad at each other long. So you do something, we get over it, we get through it, we go back to living life. Repetitive behavior, we don't know it's bad. We don't know repetitive behavior is bad at this point in life. So you know what happens? We keep repeating the process until somebody learns to break the cycle. But for the most part, we didn't know to break the cycle. And we kept doing the same thing over and over. But let me read to you what the love is that I'm talking about that I found once. This was the love that had me to let him go and be his own free man. This is the love that stopped me from fussing with him. This is the love that stopped the fights. This is the love that stopped me from calling him out of his name and making him feel less than a man. Because y'all know when we get mad, we cuss each other out and we make each other feel bad. This love right here stops so much. This is the love that stopped me from drinking. I didn't even realize I was done drinking for a whole year. I didn't even realize it. But this is the love that I started living by. And this is the love that I still live by today. That's why when you see these invisible people that keep doing things to me, I gotta love my enemies. Because that's what I'm taught. That's what I'm learning. That's what I'm steadfast in. That's what you're not going to move me from is the love that I have for people. And that's what they try to take out of me. But they don't realize that was born in me. How I learned to love. I learned how to love because I was mistreated most of my life. I was mistreated. And I said I didn't want people to feel like that. And that's how I become the person that nourishes and helps others. Because I don't want people to feel left out. I don't want them to feel like they can't when I know they can. I didn't have nobody to pick me up. I had the Lord. I did. I had Matthews. I think it was Matthew 27. It might be. I'll see what Matthew 27 is after I read this. But I had Matthews, and I remember the preacher saying at revival one night, everything in red, that's what Jesus said. And I just kept, I see some black. I barely could read, but I could read. I'd go to the red. And if I didn't know what I was reading, I'd make up something and put in there. But I found all that red, and I would just drop big balls of tears on it. And I'm talking about I was a young girl, like around 7, 8, 9, 10, all the way up until I was about 12 years old. I did that. I would drop big tears onto that red. Because some things I just didn't understand what the Bible was saying. But those tears stained that Bible. I go crawl in the closet, have me a little crack in the door for some light, and find the red. Sometimes I take the lamp in the closet with me and read. But let me tell you what 1 Corinthians 13, 4-8 says. If you really want to love people like this. That way you're not going to hold on to all that stuff they doing. You let go. People won't understand how you bragging on. Well, not bragging. They won't understand how you talking good about that person when they did so much evil and bad to you. Did they? You want me to fuss about things that cannot give me an extra day of life or can't put me in heaven or hell? I'm not going to keep fussing with people over things like that. Okay, well, let me read. 1 Corinthians 13, 4-8. Love is patient. Whoever loves you or you think they love you, you put their name in front of this. If this is them, put their name in front of this. Now, I could ask myself today, was Rollo patient with me? More than y'all know. Was I patient with him? No. He was patient with me more than y'all know. When I tell you, that man was patient. He was patient. He may not have seemed like it to others, but when he was here with me and we would be doing certain things, like I said, he knew what I was capable of doing and what I wasn't capable. He was patient with me when it came down to the housework, cleaning the bathroom. I remember I was a young lady and I was only 22 years old when me and him started dating, right? And at that time, I didn't even know how to correctly dispose of my sanitary napkins. Just put it in the trash, and that's it. Because remember, I left from home at 15, so I really didn't learn all that at home. He taught me how to do that. He said, girl, you know you got a man here now, and you got a son. You don't want to leave this laying out like that. That man told me that. You know how much guts it takes to tell a woman that? He was patient with me. He told me that. The next thing is, love is kind. Was Rollo kind? For the most part, Rollo was kind up until either the drugs or we would get around people that would provoke us. But his kindness is what I was drawn to in the beginning, and that's really what kept me with him too, because he was always thoughtful of, was I taken care of? Even in the beginning, he would go and fix these big plates. Now, I'm not trying to make him look like no shining star now, because he had his share of wrongs now. But the question is, was he kind to me? For the most part, he was. He was kind to me. Did I always see it? No, I didn't see it because I was too busy trying to impress people, letting them know that I was a smart young woman. So I didn't see it. But you know what? You don't miss your water till your well run dry. And when that man left from here, the kindness went too. He was kind enough to go out there and cut my grass in the hot sun, and I didn't even have to ask him to. I didn't even have to pay him. You know, I didn't have to pay him. He would just say, get me a beer, and that's it. And I mean, he cut like 1.5 acres. Regular push lawnmower. Heat all day. Then come in and cook and clean. And I'm like, he's just doing too much. I ain't even got no energy to do all that. I didn't have the energy to do it, but he did. I would say that's kind. It does not envy. He did not get envious. When we first got together, he wasn't envious. What is the definition of envious? Hold up, y'all. Let me see what the definition of that is. I'm going to tell you. I want to have a for sure definition. Okay. Hold up. Okay, so the envy definition is going to be a feeling of disconnected or resentful longing aroused by someone else's possessions, qualities, or luck. Nah, he won't envy like that. Let me see what the Bible definition of envy is. He won't like that. He won't jealous or nothing I had. Okay. A simple definition of envy is to want what belongs to someone else. A more thoughtful definition of envy is a resentful, dissatisfied longing for another's possessions, position, fortune, achievements, or success. I don't know. Well, envy might be, he may have been envious because he did steal my stuff. And my possessions, he did steal and sell them for the drugs. But I don't know if that's considered being envy or not. But he wanted my possessions so that he could go sell them for his drugs. I wouldn't consider that as envy. But I would consider the person who says, well, let me pay you to go take this out of her house and give it to me. You know, I'll pay you if you go get this out of her house. And then I show up at your house and my stuff is right there. Now, I would say, I'm going to have to study more into that one. But I would say that would be envious, taking somebody's stuff. It does not boast. It is not proud. He used to... I don't think he really boasted on me. I think he was just happy to say he had a girlfriend. He was always like, that's my old lady, that's my old lady. But I don't think that was bragging. It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no records of right and wrong. Once I learned all this, I stopped keeping records of rights and wrong, and I stopped fussing with him over that. I stopped dishonoring him, making him feel less than. Once I realized that we were both sick with these addiction diseases, and just because I got out of it don't make me no better than him, I stopped that. The dishonor part and self-seeking, because of the drugs, he was self-seeking, and he did dishonor me a lot. Yeah. I mean, if we're going to tell the truth, we tell the truth. And when I was on the drugs, I dishonored him a lot, and I was self-seeking too. It is not easily angered. Oh, I stayed angry. He was the one with the cool, level head. He just get loud. His thing was he just get loud, and it would, I don't know, he just get loud, but I was the one with the anger issue. He didn't have anger issues. He just liked to talk a lot of junk. But it wasn't anger what he was talking. He just talked junk. Like like when he be saying pie face and things like that, he just make smart comments, but it was never really anger. I guess it was his way of being defensive. It keeps no records of records of wrongs. It keeps no records of wrong. Once I learned better, I stopped keeping records of wrong, and that was the power that I needed to break free from that relationship. And I told him, I said, we just can't do this no more. We can't keep doing this. We can't do this. We can't keep hurting each other like this. My love for you is too great, and I'd rather you go and be free and happy than to be up here and be miserable. So I had to set him free. He had already set me free though when he got that money, and I just put my 2 cents in it. I just added to it. Well, go ahead, because I can't compete with the streets. I can't compete with these women in the streets, and I can't compete with money. I can't compete with drugs. If you have a relationship with a guy that's an addict, you know that you're not the main woman. That drug is the main woman. If you have an alcoholic, you know that you're not the main woman. The alcohol is the main woman. They can love you in their own special way, but their relationship is not with you. Their relationship is with whatever they are choosing to basically cheat on you with, and that's going to be the alcohol or the drugs. And some people, food or porn. Okay, so we got that out of the way. Oh yeah, and by the way, he had when we spent our time apart, we really stopped. It gave us time to really grow up in different areas, because when we would see each other, we didn't accuse each other of nothing. After that, about a year after we broke up, we didn't accuse each other of nothing. We started respecting each other more, and we actually started being good friends after that. So I think we did the right thing. It just hurts that we couldn't pull it off and stay together, but we did the right thing, because we came out better separated, not health-wise. Health-wise, he didn't come out better separated from me. That's the part that gets to me right now, is that I wish there was more I could have done for him, and I had to keep reminding myself that he was a grown man, he made choices, and that one thing we cannot do is take away a person's free will to live the life that they want to live. And I had to be okay with the life he chose, because at any moment, he could. I remember when I first heard he passed, I said, why didn't you fight for us? You should have been fighting for us so that I could help you, instead of, those are just things that come rushing to your head, because for me, it was like, we hadn't really been separated like that. I mean, I know it was years we wasn't together, but, and then, I know some things out. So, okay, let's keep going. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. And we got to that point where we would tell each other the truth. And the truth was that we forgave each other and that we loved each other. And he kissed me on my forehead. Number 7, it always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always preserves. People were like, you were still waiting on him all that time? I always hoped. You don't lose hope over people you love. You don't throw them away. You know how many times I saw my daddy? Let me tell you, that man, my daddy Marshall, let me tell you what he did. He hoped for years, 40-some years I think it was, to find his niece. He hoped for that. 40-some years, and finally, my brother finds his niece for him. Now, it caused an uproar in the family, but he kept hope alive for that girl. Because he loved her even when everybody else wanted to toss her to the side. My daddy still loved his niece. And he wanted the best for her. Even offered her to come stay down here and all that good stuff. He loved her. And he found her before he passed away. When my brother found her for him. He always kept hope alive. And that's the kind of hope I was living off of. These last 10 years, I didn't let men come up in my house. I had this one guy who would go out, who I would meet outside every once in a while. But as far as coming up in my house, no. He didn't even get up in here but one time. And then I was like, no, that's not the right spirit for me up in my house. So that was the only time he came in. The furthest he went may have been the porch. And that was it. Because I kept my heart clean. I kept my space clean. And I did not want to become contaminated with different men. I did not want that. So I always kept hope alive that he would get the help he needed. That maybe, I didn't want rock bottom for him, but I wanted him to get to a point where he just say he was just tired of doing what he was doing and make a change. But, environmental factors play a big role in how we recover when it comes down to addictions and things. All right. Always preserves. I was on preserve. And I believe he was waiting for me. Now, I can't say that he went out there, seeing who he was seeing. Because keep in mind, we still was broke up. So, if he was seeing other women, that was fine. I was seeing other guys. But that didn't stop our love for each other that we had for each other. I was only seeing that one guy. Why am I saying God? That one guy. And nothing became of it. So, verse 8. Love never fails. But where there are prophecies, they will cease. Where there are tongues, they will be stilled. Where there is knowledge, it will pass away. Well, and at the end of that, I have to say, God knows what's best for us. And, he, from what I heard, he didn't change. He was still the same old God that I had left. And the same guy that had my heart, still had my heart, And that's why I'm talking so much on these podcasts. Because I just need to let out my truth so that I can feel. I don't want to feel like I'm doing. I just want to let out my truth so that I'm not holding anything out, so that I'm grieving and coping in a healthy way. Because did that bother me? Yeah. It bothers me that he's not here anymore. Do it bother me a lot? Yes, it bothers me a lot. Because I held out hope for him that things would be better. And I just didn't know that, I really didn't know things got worse. See, I would say we probably broke up around 20, when we really called it quits, had to be around 2015 or 20, no, I don't know. I really don't know, because see, we were still seeing each other, but in 2018 we were still seeing each other, so I don't know exactly when we broke up. I just know we eventually went our separate ways, and I just don't know the real actual numbers and things at this point. I thought I did, but I was wrong, because like my we were still talking around with one another, so I don't know. Let me see what that Matthew 27 is. I don't know why I was stuck on Matthew. Oh, Matthew 27 is Judas hangs himself. Oh my goodness. And there was a time when I did, I'm not going to tell that story right now. Wrong time. Meanwhile, Jesus stood before the governor, and the governor asked him, "Are you the king of Jews?" "You said so," Jesus replied. Okay, so yeah, this is what I read, and this is probably why I was crying so hard at the crucifixion of Jesus. So that's what that is. That's what Matthew 27 is, y'all. If you want to know what happened to Jesus, about the crucifixion, the accusers who accused him of doing this and that, and they were church folk too. Church folk up in there accusing him. The soldiers who mocked Jesus. You want to read all of that? And his execution goes to Matthew 27. It's got all of that in it. But pretty much the Corinthians love is what was the final straw for me. Once I started studying the Bible, I wanted better for myself. I knew there's more out here for me than just being a girlfriend riding up and down the road, drinking and partying. I've always seen myself as more than that. And you got to see yourself as more than that too. You're not just a woman or man that's out here fit for shacking and things. You're so much better than that. And some people even tell you, well, we don't do marriage like that these days. Get in a covenant with somebody who want to be in a covenant with you. Get in there together. Get with somebody who really want to be with you. And when you get married, live and honor your vows. Don't try to outdo each other, but help each other. We had so much of marriage down packed to the T. But you know what? You can't play marriage. Come on, somebody, talk to me. You cannot play marriage. You can't run up and go to the courthouse and say, well, this is my husband, unless you're in common law marriage. And I don't know, it was a law that did tell me that me and him had common law marriage, but then when I looked it up, they said North Carolina don't even do common law marriage. Because I remember I got put out of my home here. They was like, how long y'all been living together? We like, 10 years. That's how long we had been here then. We both said it at the same time. And they were like, well, one of you got to go. And it's probably going to be the one with a car. And that happened to be me. And then after the police left, I sat out there in my truck for about 2 hours with my son. You know, we pretended like we left, and then we came and parked back in the yard. Then he come out and said, come on in the house. Come on in here. And I was like, oh my God. But that was crazy, silly. I don't want to do none of that stuff no more. I didn't talk with y'all 2 hours today, and I don't even know if I'm gonna load it up, but I might. What else I want to say? Do the right thing. If he really loves you, he'll marry you. He won't want nobody else to wife you up. He won't play games. I don't know what to say in my situation because, he was still married, and I didn't know that. I was told they were divorced until the woman came back, and that was the next final straw. That was the main final straw as to why I didn't even go try to look for him. Do y'all know how bad that hurts? You know how bad that feels? When you find out somebody married and all these years, you've been together 17 years waiting to get married, waiting for the house and things, and you come to find out that he's not even divorced. Man died, you can't even receive his Social Security. Because you know what? You can't play marriage. You got to be married. Couldn't even receive his Social Security if I wanted to. Because he has an actual wife. I couldn't assign nothing for him. Because being a girlfriend, there are no benefits to it. There's no benefits to being no girlfriend. And now that I know that, look, you're not finna play with me. If you're not dating with intentions of marriage, old as I is, I would be 49 Sunday. And I'm not up for no games. I hope to the Lord I got a good another 50 years in me. I pray another 50 or more years in me with the same mind and good body, good health. So that when I do get married, we can celebrate Big 50. Big 50. But what I'm not going to do is sit around and be almost 50 playing house with these guys. No, I ain't even doing booty calls. You're not finna stank my stuff up. Can't stand that. Some guys stink so bad and it's just not even worth it. I think that's what really turned me against sex, y'all. Some of them guys, I don't know what they were thinking. I mean, for real. Some just stink. And, I shouldn't be talking. My bad. He didn't never stink. Not him. But I just know a couple that need to go to a whole pond and just sit in a pond or a whole river, lake full of body washes, all kind of antifungal body washes. Anyways, I'm not gonna be on that. We'll talk about that subject, men hygiene, later. He never had no issues in that area. I mean, he ain't never had no issues. Yep. But don't play house. That's the best advice I can give you. You play house, you get what you play for. We had 17 years, and there was nothing I could do. That don't bother me, though, because I was gone 10 years. We have been not together, so nothing really bothered me about anything that had to do with his funeral. Everything was okay to me. It was all right. I ain't have no issues with that. My issue was with him, and he not here. My issue was like, dude, you kept me on lock for 17 years, and then you didn't marry me. And that's actually how I want to say it. You kept me on lock for 17 years. You didn't marry me. You promised to marry me. You didn't marry me. You promised me a house. I didn't get a house. You promised me this nice yard. You cut my grass. So I guess you did honor that promise. But the main promises I wanted never happened. I won't play Russian roulette anymore with my time. And my time, it wasn't wasted. I learned a lot. But most of all, I learned, don't let nobody waste my time. 17 years is a long time with somebody to leave with nothing but a grill and a $20 rug. That's what I got out of 17 years. A grill and a $20 profane grill and a $20 rug. That $20 rug is still outside. And that must have been a good rug. Because that rug is still got the color on it and everything. I never just brought it in, but it's still intact as far as I know. Or at least it was still intact. I saw that rug, and I brought one that looked just like it too, because he let me go pick it out, so I know what I picked out. I know what I like. I know the styles I like. He got that rug, and then when we broke up, I said, no, I don't want it in here. I took it outside and didn't never bring it back in, so that rug been out there 10 years in the same spot. I promise you, the same spot. And the grill, I just recently, about 3 years ago, got somebody to haul. No, that wasn't even 3 years ago. That was last year. I got somebody to haul the grill off. Sure did last year. So I had been really just, I was on weight. I was on hold, and now I feel free. I feel like I should be dating now. Give myself a chance to date. And I know many women won't understand, well, why 10 years you wait so long? Well, I wasn't free all those 10 years. Keep in mind, I was in a situationship thinking that this other guy, was going to pick up the slack. And he turned out to be worse. That guy showed up with a woman at church. And I was like, what? We've been talking all these years, and it just won't what it seemed like. And that made me want to just sit still for a while. Maybe I just need to sit still for a while, because sometimes we be thinking we sitting still and we not. If we still in motion, we not still. And I never had time to really grieve our relationship, the breakup, and that's what was hitting on me now, is that in my mind, me and Rollo wasn't broke up. But now I got to really look at it and say, yeah, we was broke up. Because whenever he left, I just shut down. I blocked everything out. I numbed out, and I just kept going. I didn't stop. I didn't slow down for nothing. I went harder. I went working more. I stayed away from home more. Only thing made me start staying back home was that pandemic. When the pandemic happened, that's when I had to stay home, and that's when I started going through a lot of mental challenges and having to deal with things, because now I'm on the road like that. So now when you have to sit at home by yourself, your thoughts get to moving around. And that lets you know if you got a healthy mind or not. All right, y'all. So I'm going to go ahead and get off of here. But peace, love, and happiness. And I know that I'm talking a lot about my ex, but this podcast really has been about my ex the whole time. It's been about him the whole time. And how I've been recovering these last 10 years. If I'm not mistaken, we may have really called it a quits. However old this podcast is, that's how long it is. I think that I have been single, I think 2016 was when we really called it quits. I'm not sure, y'all. I'm going to have to look at some things and see. All right. Peace, love, and happiness. Y'all have a great one.